Hello and welcome. My name is Mike Hammond.
I'm Sarah Walsh.
And this is Retails, a podcast all about retail restaurants and working horrible customer service jobs.
We would like to thank Right Good Studios for making us sound right good, and Arts NL providing funding.
How? This episode contains language and or content that is intended for very tired adults. Viewer discretion is advised. And now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of Retails. My name is Mike Hammond.
I'm Sarah Walsh.
And we're here with comedian Bree Parsons talking about the skills of unskilled labor. Bree has been to the Just for Laughs Festival in Toronto, in Montreal, in Vancouver, the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, and the Halifax Comedy Festival. Welcome, Bree.
Hey, friends.
Hello.
Besides being a comedian superstar, Bree has been a flight attendant, bartending across the world, a dishwasher, and worked in food service in 3 different locations. Bree, what skills do you need to be a flight attendant?
So when I was first becoming a flight attendant, I moved out of St. John's. I was going to this school. I don't know if I ever told you about this. But I showed up in Halifax and to go to this flight attendant academy, and I was sure I was lost. There was like the building that it said it was going to be in was a cheesecake factory. And so I call my mom and I'm like, I've been made a fool. Somebody's taken my money. Like I was so convinced. And then I seen like all of these really hot women walking into the Cheesecake Factory and up the stairs. And I was like, okay, no, maybe it's here. So I went and I did this academy, and it was...
So qualification number 1, you had to be hot?
And
by
you
the
had
sounds
to be able
of
to
it?
do stairs in a cheesecake
It
factory.
doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. No,
You have to be able to smell cheesecake and not eat it.
Yes.
You have to be able to wear heels upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be stunning.
They were all absolutely stunning, intimidatingly stunning. And so then I go to this school, and it is just the biggest tomfoolery that I've ever... I paid like $5,000 to go to this school. It turns out you can, when you get hired as a flight attendant, they actually give you all of the training. You don't need to go to any school.
So you got scammed.
So I got scammed.
I believe the word is flim-flam.
Flammed.
Bamboozled.
For sure. But in regards to the actual skills I needed, like, first of all, bilingual, which I was not. I don't know if you knew this. My interview was completely in French. And I wish I had like 1 ounce of the audacity that I had when I was 19, because I just went to the interview anyway. Knowing, like, I knew, like, horse, window, can I go to the washroom in French? And, but I told him I was willing to learn. And so you need to know French, and you're a first responder, but it's also service. And it's like not only just service, it's service of the worst people in their worst mood possible. Like it's teams of hockey moms that, their kids' stuff got bumped and they're the best player, and like it's
They're always the best player.
It's just it's service, but it's just everybody is inconvenienced, and they somehow forget that you're there too. Like, I don't live with this plane. I'm also inconvenienced. I also want to get home. I don't know any information. So I feel like skills wise, first responder stuff was huge. We did like all of the biggest first aid, the largest portion of first aid you can do. But, I had to wear 5-inch heels, and I had to have my hair a certain way, and no tattoos and makeup, and my watch had to be smaller than a loonie. That's a real one.
Is that a real rule?
My watch had to be smaller than a loonie.
Okay, so like, is this like when you're at school and your teacher does the 3 fingers in the skirt thing, except they're like holding a loonie specific for this, and they're ready. They're like, that slut.
You know what? They didn't test me too often, but yes, that was the expected uniform.
So you had to do like emergency aid in heels. Mm-hmm. So heels was a part. I was joking before.
No, that's real.
No, being able to do first aid in heels.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say CPR in heels, firsthand nightmare.
I like since then, I believe since I've left that specific job, they're unionized and they've relaxed on the heels issue a little bit. But for 7 full years, I had to wear heels to work every day. We would go. I had this private charter one time to Greenland. And I am in a dress and high heels in the coldest temperature I have ever felt. And you have to take all the liquids off the plane so it doesn't freeze. So I'm doing this in tights and a dress, and I've never experienced more cold. And I remember I was doing some kind of like chant to myself to be like, if you can do this, you can do anything. If you can do this, you could do anything. Just like removing all the Pepsis from the airplane for 45 minutes in these
If
temperatures.
you can remove the Pepsis, you can do anything.
do anything. Yeah.
But like, that is insane to me that they made you wear heels when like part of your job of like, there's no doctor on the flight and someone's having a heart attack. You're the only thing keeping them alive until, and like, there's a reason they don't make paramedics wear heels.
Yeah. The uniform standards, I think it's one specific portion of an industry that is just totally stuck in the past. It's like overlooked that it's still that way. And yeah, it was wild. And I dealt with many medical emergencies because, you know, we're in Newfoundland, so a lot of the people that are traveling,
They're traveling for medical reasons.
they're traveling to go see a doctor, you know. And it's like when an airplane gets called to take you to the hospital, it's called a medevac, but that's just specifically like paramedics.
Yeah.
So we used to call it the skedevac, the scheduled flights that are for medevac patients, because it was just truly, it was like, you know, over half your patients on board were traveling to see a doctor. It's terrifying.
I love how you called the people flying in the plane patients.
I didn't know
That was instinctual. That wasn't, I can tell that wasn't planned.
Oh, that just came right out.
Yeah. So like air ambulance taxis, just bringing people back and forth. So like, that's like when people hear flight attendant, they don't think this is a job that requires a lot of skill.
No, it's
Or
pouring
like
Pepsis in the sky to most
Yeah.
people.
It's like they need to smile, bat their eyelashes, and make sure I'm topped up on wine. But like, yeah, you have to be first aid. You have to be bilingual. You have to have the patience of 4 saints taped together.
I was going to say, I've never felt more like, do I want to get arrested than when I was on a plane and there was a guy yelling because he was very, very convinced that he was in the right seat. And there was this old lady just holding her bag, like, no, look, the number and the letter. He's like, I don't care. And this poor woman that was trying to, like, usher the flight in was like, she'd explained to him, like, numerous times, like, no, sir, that's a D. He's like, I'll tell you what it is. And I was just like, I've never been, like, more adamant that we should be allowed to punch people.
And
If
like,
I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times on this show. Not telling someone to shut the fuck up is 100% a skill I put on my resume.
Oh my God, yes.
Like the patience and just like being able to look at someone as they're just like unloading just bile onto you and just be like,
I can take this.
well, we can see what we can do about that.
the soccer mom one is still so real to me. Like I was taking this group of kids up to play a game in Toronto, and one of the kids shit his pants. Okay,
Of course.
And we are on a tiny little aircraft.
Hey, sometimes you just shit your britches.
You just
We're
fill
on a
'em.
tiny
No
little
shame on
aircraft-
that. That's not what we're calling out here on this show.
A tiny little aircraft, and it smelled so bad, so everyone started projectile vomiting.
Oh yeah,
And so I did
that'll
something you're
that'll
not.
happen.
I did something you're not supposed to do. Is I climbed in the back and I got this person's bag so this kid could get changed, right?
Yeah.
So I get this kid some new clothes. He's getting changed, and then I'm on the ground cleaning up everyone's vomit, and people are still projectile vomiting on top of me as I'm cleaning up each kid. And we landed on the ground. I know you guys know there's like grounds people that are there to just like make sure everyone gets in. Okay. I literally opened the door of the airplane and I was like, this is your plane now. You're the captain now. And I got up. I'm like, I am a biohazard. I'm going home. Like,
So when you go in for an office job and the question they ask is, tell us about a time when you had to go above and beyond to overcome adversity in the workplace.
As someone who's cleaned a lot of puke at work, I hate that question because I can't answer it without being like gross.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't think that anybody wants to hire me if all they can think about is me without a biohazard suit being like, this is poo.
Honestly, I feel like it's not even the hardest part. A lot of being a flight attendant, also, it's like mostly women in that job at this point in life. And I did a lot of taking the boys back and forth to camp, like the turnaround men. And so frequently I was the only woman present at any time. Like it was a male-dominated industry, all of these people going up to work, a lot of the pilots, men. And so I was just the only woman most of the time on the plane. That's harder. I feel like not having any support at all from another woman. I don't know.
Oh, that is gross, yeah.
You don't have any kind of like backup. Like if one person is shitty, it's like, who's got my back?
Who's got my back?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think about that when I was, like, serving. Like, if it got really tangly, like, we'd have bachelor parties, and I'd be like, I can at least go outside long enough to eat 3 cigarettes, but it's not like you can hang out in the plane on the wing and be like, yeah, I'll just go back.
Yeah, there's no
after a
back
moment."
room.
There's nowhere to go. There's no, like, you're eating a lunch or take any moment of reprieve, and you're just like, you have this little curtain, and on the small airplanes that I worked on, the bathroom, was behind the curtain. So you'd be there like trying to just like put 3 Cheetos in your mouth in peace, and someone would just whip open the curtain to go to the bathroom. I'm like, there is just, it was one of those jobs that
You can't escape.
you can't escape, and it's not a classic 8 hours. Like it's as long as it takes. That's why, your joke, the joke you tell about being stuck, you're stuck in the mall with me. That's how I felt. I'm like, I can't get away from you. Like, there's nowhere I can go. There's nothing I can do. So yeah, patience, huge part of that job. Like, just being able to maintain a smile and actually treat these people with any respect after your 11th hour.
And like people will say, low wage workers and like customer service workers and these kinds of employees, oh, they don't need extra money. They don't deserve extra money because they don't have any skills.
Mm-hmm.
You just listed major skills in any office. So like patience, crisis management,
Mm-hmm.
like working in an office, the job more times often than not is easy. The hard part is dealing with the people around you, because these people have never, ever learned how to talk to another human.
Oh my God, no.
Did you know that flight attendants only get paid while they're in the air?
Yes, because
Somebody
you told me.
that, yeah.
Yeah, it was
I think it might
you.
have been you.
So all the time they spend unboarding passengers, dealing with people. If you get stuck in the snow somewhere, you are not getting paid for any of that. If you're on the runway, they don't let you off the airplane for 4 hours. The flight attendant, the whole staff there is not getting paid.
Yeah, and you want to get pissy about like, oh, why don't you bring me another whiskey? It's like, ugh. It's not even I'm not getting paid enough for this. I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, like these are real skills, like being bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a real skill that you put on your resume and it bumps you up. Like if I'm choosing between 2 people and someone is bilingual and someone's not, well, I'm going with the bilingual person because that's an added benefit.
So once I got the job, as I told you guys, I was not bilingual when I got hired.
No.
I then hired local comedian Veronica Diamond to tutor me in French. So I hired Veronica to tutor me, and she was very patient with me. Very, very patient. It's so difficult to learn a language so much later in life. I just
Yeah.
feel like I didn't do any of it in school.
Why would you? It's French.
Yeah, I just didn't pay attention. I don't know. And then then I learned once we started honing in on like aviation specific French, it got easier for me. So I memorized all the announcements like a rap song. I'll be able to say those on my deathbed. And the rest of it came with time, But yeah, I had to learn to speak a new language.
You've worked in flight attendant. You got all these skills from being a flight attendant for so long. Have you taken those skills and brought them to your current job? Or any other job, like any other like non-service job?
I feel like I have the really unfortunate quality that everything feels like a crisis. So while I definitely learned true crisis management, being a flight attendant, I think learning how to stay aggressively calm in a stressful situation, and currently I work in events, and you show up to every single time an event is pulled off, it's pulled off by people of different capacities, right? People that have either, oh, I didn't realize I needed a speaker, or you don't have chairs and you don't have this, and you have to problem solve and make it go the way you want it to because you have the standards that you create. So I think the ability to just problem solve came with me for sure.
Yeah, like being in like customer service and retail roles, it's like you're in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you've ever gotten together with a bunch of servers, like 2 hours after their shift had ended. Like, they all sit around and smoke and talk about it like it's the fucking war.
It's weird.
It
You
is
want
the
to you
war,
want to go
though.
home so bad all evening that when you're serving, like it's so hard and you're there all night and you're so ready to go home, and then all of a
It's like when
sudden
you clock out,
the
it's just-
everyone leaves and the whole staff just sits. Like there are times after every
It's
time
like
I
shell
work a
shock.
wedding, every time I work a wedding. If you're hosting a wedding, you don't need a fucking wedding cake. Nobody eats the wedding cake. And so almost like clockwork, every time we finish a wedding at my current job, me and the entire staff sit on the floor and eat a wedding cake with forks. Just
Yeah,
sit
no,
down.
that sounds
No
perfect.
plates, just fork in a wedding cake.
Well, like, yeah, I think that the best, because I mean, like, yeah, like you said, the whole time you're like, I want to leave, like, and then simultaneously you're like, I need this money, I want extra shifts, and then they're like, does anybody want to get cut first? And it's like, yes, I do, thank you.
Now, thank you.
But like the second that like the last customer closes the door, you're like, oh, I don't hate it here for some reason.
We worked a wedding at my last job, and in the place I was in, every now and then the bathroom doors used to get stuck, and so at the end of the night we were like, I have a lot of poo stories for you guys today. That's not what I'm meaning to do. So at the end of the night, I can't get the bathroom door open. No problem. I'm cleaning everything else. But I hear a noise and there's just me and my coworker in the building. And we decided to jimmy the lock open. And this woman had passed out in the washroom and she just had poo everywhere. It was such a sin. And I was like, I would have left her. I would have
Just
eaten my
locked up
cake
for
on
the
the
night.
floor, had my beer, had a cry, and left her there and locked her in the building for the night. And I won't tell any more poo stories. I'm sorry. But that one
You
was quite
can.
shocking.
That one's actually a lot. Like what you've just said is like the beginning of a Law and Order episode.
Yeah, you said that and I heard dun dun.
Just a detective standing over the shit-covered woman. Well, it's quite apparent that she passed out before the poop.
And I think the patience and the kindness thing comes within the wedding industry specifically. Like every wedding is like $20,000 to $30,000 of someone's money. Like you have to
Yeah.
just eat shit all day for that person because it needs to be the best day of their life.
I was gonna say they need to have their like pretty princess day, and
Mm-hmm.
everything does need to go right because when you pay a certain amount of money for something, I can't picture telling them that some minute detail of it has gone wrong.
Well, you were both at my wedding. Do you remember as I was trying to, they were supposed to have this big moment where they open these double doors and I walk up the aisle and instead the doors got stuck. Do you remember this?
I
And
did,
my
but I
mom
thought it
literally looked at me and was like, last chance to run.
No, but I mean, I think that if somebody plans an event or if they have an idea about how the special sparkly moments of their life are supposed to go and then it doesn't go that way, unfortunately, the people in service are the face of that. So, like, the amount of times that I've been screamed at for ruining mom's birthday or fucking up my wedding brunch or, like, shit that I'm like, I literally just bring the food.
I had one bride, we were waiting outside the door to like enter, and she had hired a piano player. And the piano player wasn't there yet. And it was like it was time. Everyone was in, everyone was sat down. And so I was like, okay, we have a few options. You know, I can go in and put on an iPod, and I'm aging myself. I can put on a phone and play your song. Or I was like, I've got this bartender downstairs named Ben, and he is just a saint, and he is like the best piano player I've ever heard, and I can just get him up here to play you a tune.
I just want Ben to come up and be a guy with two smokes behind his ears just playing hot cross buns.
So I go down, I ask Ben, and Ben's like, yeah, absolutely, I'll come up and play a tune. And as we do that, the piano player is coming up the stairs, and not to judge, but she's in this like hot pink, what is it when it's pleather? That's what I'm trying to
Ooh.
say. Hot pink pleather. It's clearly out from the night before, sunglasses on, barely getting up the stairs. She's so fucked up. But not the biggest kicker. The biggest kicker is she had 2 broken hands.
Every part of that is amazing.
It just gets worse so much. So I guess whatever was broken was like the casts were around 4 of her fingers, and she is a piano player.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think that with any other instrument you'd still be fucked, but piano specifically.
Piano specifically, I just couldn't believe it. It's like one of those moments I was just looking, I was like, this cannot go well. Anyways, the bride wanted her to play anyway. So she enters like some kind of drunk aunt, you know, like these giant sunglasses on, and she walks in and up the aisle for some reason.
I just want her to come in and order like a Bloody Mary just to get over it.
Just to take the edge off.
Take the edge off.
Lay it on my very expensive piano. Yeah, no. And then really terribly played that Bruno Mars song while she walked up the aisle.
Well, yeah, of course it was terrible. She had no hands. Sorry, when you were miming putting the drink on the piano, you used what? It was more like
It was like like the.
bang, 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 bang,
You ever see videos of dogs trying, and they're like, I don't know what my hands are, but
my
I'm
dog
doing my
Penny
best.
could have done a better job, I think. at
Well,
Bruno
that
Mars
serves
song.
her right for not going with Buddy Ben, who's downstairs.
But when you're in charge of people's days, essentially, or people's events, like, you kind of have to be MacGyver.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to be able to, oh, yeah, I have a piano player in my back pocket. Oh, yeah. No, we got extra Tylenol for drunk aunt back here.
Oh,
you
man.
have personally delivered me speakers on a last second thing when someone showed up and they didn't think about it. If you lent me your own speakers.
Yeah, I probably did. It's because I learned how to do events.
Well, I also find that I've had a lot of experiences where, like, the customer is the one that drops the ball, but they do not care about that in the moment. Like, I had people come in for, like, their nan's 80th birthday, and they handed me a bag, and they said, that's the cake. And I was like, great, I will put it in the fridge. And they were like, sounds amazing. It was an ice cream cake. Dinner took 3.5 hours. By the time it finished, one, I'd already got my ass chewed out by the fucking kitchen because it had melted in their fridge.
No.
Of course it
They
did.
were so angry, rightfully so, but also I was like, I was not informed.
I'm just a child.
And then this woman literally was like, come here. And she took me around the bar so that no one else heard. And she's like, I can't even say it in front of them. You just ruined a night. And I was like,
I think it's service too. It's like half of it is learning endurance.
oh,
Because
definitely.
you just can't stop. There's not like, an office job where you have a scheduled break and a lunch or whatever. It's like I eat all my meals cold over the garbage can quickly. And you just like, it's physical endurance. Sometimes I think about how much, like, especially during the holiday season, how much we actually accomplish, between 11 and 14 hours every night.
Oh my God.
And then by the end of it, it's just like, I don't even know how I did that. So I think endurance is a huge
It
skill
definitely
too.
is. Because I mean, like, when I was a kid, I think if somebody was staring too hard at, like, my face, I'd be like, why are you looking at me? Stop. And then 5 years later, I was in a restaurant where I was like, a lady just literally screamed at me and then spit on me. And I was like, can I help you with anything else?
And I'm proud of the next generation, but they have such good work-life balance that they don't understand how to do what we are doing.
Oh,
It's
God,
like
no.
They don't know how to grind.
They don't know how to, but rightfully so. Thank
No,
God.
no, they
Yeah.
shouldn't. Like, they like, I've literally worked with, like, a 20-year-old who was like, I don't think this is for me because I'm just getting screamed at every night. And then the
Yeah.
kitchen is this. And you know what? I don't need this kind of stress. And I was like, that's very smart, but this is just the job.
When I worked at this food service place, I was basically all I did was like make hot turkey sandwiches and bring people in, and it was the first time ever. We had been there so long, and it was so stressful, and we were so short staffed that this woman quit her job on the spot. And I don't know, I just never fathomed the fact that you would be allowed to do that. And she had been there for like
Who's
20
stopping
years.
you?
I
You
know.
know it.
Become ungovernable.
And even since, even watching her, I'm like, she was inspiring to me, but I still could never. I'm too much of a people pleaser to ever be able to do something like that. She had been there 20 years. And then one day she was like, no, fuck this, I'm done. And walked out. And I was like, I guess I cook the eggs now.
I have been promoted.
But like I used like in sales, I worked for a company that everyone hated. Like they signed up to be with this company and then immediately regretted it and then would crawl over my coworkers to come yell at me to sell them something new. And so like starting off, I'm already at a point of they hate my guts upon knowing I exist. It's like, that's the employee. Fuck you. I need a new phone. And so I have to now build trust with you because no one's going to buy anything from you if they don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to say, oh yeah, fuck you. And they're going to go across the way. So I had to like figure out what the hell they were so mad about, which involved like crazy amounts of listening to get through some of the bullshit sometimes. And then I had to build trust with them, figure out what they needed. And then I had to be like, I know the last guy fucked you, but I swear this one is gonna work.
I feel like you have just either described training the perfect abused dog or gentle parenting, but applied to customer service.
But like that is such a
That's a huge
in the corporate
learned skill.
world, like you just told me to fuck off and now you're walking out with a new iPhone. Like, put me on your sales roster for your companies Because, like, the only difference between customers and clients is a decimal point.
But the thing is, I feel like what you're describing is so much, and again, is a skill. Everyone talks about personality hires. No, being likable in the position you're in is so important. Like, I was getting a new phone one time, and I was still attached to an ex's plan. And so to get off this phone plan, I had gone to so many different companies that couldn't do anything for me. To get off the phone plan, they needed his permission.
Ugh.
Exactly, gross. But so I call in front of this employee, and I'm like begging him to do the thing or whatever, and he says no, and he hangs up, and the guy working the counter just goes, I heard him say it. And it allowed me to get a new phone. I just think, portions of it is like skirting the rules in whatever ways you can, which is just like knowledge in what you can get away with in certain jobs, and being generally likable is
Honestly,
so
I
important.
think that the most of retail that I learned involved like finding loopholes for customers that don't call you a cunt that day. Like being like, you didn't spit on me and you're going to get a discount.
You can get something special.
You're going to get a treat.
Speaking of a treat, it's time for another retail. Customer service is often referred to as unskilled labor. I've never subscribed to the belief that customer service jobs are unskilled. Sure, the burger flipper may never learn how to fix the HVAC or invent a new biofuel, but they might become a chef. And if nothing else, refraining from telling idiotic customers to go fuck themselves is 100% a marketable skill. Believe it or not, I used to work in an office. Not a large office, but I scored a lower middle-class management position overseeing the building and a small but truly delightful staff of worker bees. I finally reached a point in my life where I was no longer on the front lines as the face of the company getting yelled at by customers. Only to realize that clients are just customers with more money. And just like customers, there were a number of them that just plain sucked. Now, the shit client to not shit client ratio was definitely better compared to my days in serving tables and hucking cell phones. Literally not a single person spat at and or bled on me, so I chalked that up to a certain degree of advancement. The ones that did suck were amateur-level psychos at best. Sure, they had their entitlements and their demands and their insults, but so what? Maybe it's just something about my face, but in every job, strangers would crawl over my coworkers just to tear strips off me. I've been called every name in the book. I've been threatened with violence, and I've had to stop someone from prying the lock off the back room door with a screwdriver to rob the safe. These people couldn't hurt me. My boss asked if they could hand someone off on me because they were super difficult to work with. I was like, she's that old white lady, right? Yeah, this is going to be a breeze. My boss's response was skeptical. We'll see. We'll call the client Doc Brown. Doc Brown was a classic archetype that frequented the restaurant I worked at in university. Older and affluent, whimsical, slightly delusional, and would try to provoke you when they weren't getting their way. As a waiter, tables of old ladies paid my bills. To get tips, you either have to be charming or sexy. And I look like this. So I got damn good at being the son they wish they had. 3 days after my meeting, my boss came to my desk with jaw open. I have no idea what the hell you did, but Doc Brown adores you. I told you, old white women love me. Did they get under my skin sometimes? Absolutely. But after years of taking abuse at the hands of the general public, these upper middle class nuisances were child's play. It felt like I was moonwalking through the minors after crushing it in the big leagues. I kept getting told that so-and-so was a particularly egregious client, but I just kept popping out customer service dingers. Eventually, I was summoned by those magical words. Someone wants to see the manager. Now, those weren't the exact words, and it came in an email, but it was time! The tone dripped of big Karen energy. We'll call this person Dick Mustard. Dick Mustard had a one-sided beef with one of my delightful staff outside of work and tried to bring that nonsense to my doorstep. They were adamant about some arbitrary transgression outside of my walls, and therefore I couldn't give a single absolute fuck about the thing I was wasting my time reading. Now, I know some of you former customer service employees are thinking, Mike, did you get to live the dream and absolutely ruin Dick Mustard shit? You bet I didn't. Just because you make a little more doesn't mean you get to tell the client to go fuck themselves. I told you it was a skill. Turns out old DM had a reputation for being an absolute terror long before my time with the company, and this was only my first time dealing with their nonsense. Eventually, it got to the point where my boss would need to take annual leave just to avoid this client. And while I didn't get to call them a stupid drunk via email, which, don't get me wrong, I really wanted to do, again, a skill, but when the topic of dropping them as a client came up to the board, I did get to write a very professional email calling them a blight on whatever room they happened to be in. The board decided to part ways with old Dick Mustard, and I am very happy to know that I had a part in that. Sure, I can't weld a car door back on or develop geopolitical policy, but I do know how to deal with people, something which seems to be lacking in the corporate world. It's a skill that I picked up waiting tables, selling phones, and watching people steal from the dollar store. On my resume under skills, I have able to diffuse challenging and intense situations, ability to establish positive relationships with the clients, ability to not tell people to go fuck themselves.
Last week I was on the floor, and this guy was like going up the hallway, and he was so pissed off, and I stopped him and asked him if he was okay at first, and he was like, the fucking bartender cut me off, and he's rotted, and I was the supervisor on shift, and I was like, well, I agree with her based on this behavior, and he threatened to punch me in the face, and my whole staff, they're kids, and they watch me, and apparently
Their first threat of violence.
they are. It's so sweet, but they said I was so scary because I didn't say anything to him. Instead, all I did was put my hands behind my back. As if to say, give me a day off. I'd like, please, just give me a day off. And what else was I thinking about while you were telling that story? Oh, I had one time I did have someone throw a hot turkey sandwich at me, and I think that I think what you're saying is so right. You have to learn how to talk to specific people, right? Like this one.
You do have to get on everybody's level.
Yeah, but everyone needs different things.
Yeah.
Like all of the old biddies that used to come for breakfast, I knew, you're throwing out a lot of my darlings, my honey, my, whatever.
Oh yeah.
To them. And then there was this couple that came up. And, I've been being the sweet little angel to all these old women the entire morning. And I called this man my darling. And his girlfriend starts flipping out. And I don't know, I'm 19 and I was shitty. And I just was like, she was like saying I was flirting with him. And then so I started flirting with him. And I handed them their food and she threw the full hot turkey sandwich at me.
I had a really drunk woman throw a bowl of chowder at me, and it was at the beginning of a double. So I just remember like looking at my boss, and she was like, we really need you today. And I was like, please don't make me wear this until 9 p.m.
Oh my God.
I had someone, it wasn't like a deliberate throwing of chicken balls, but like they kind of just like, they were mad. I can't remember why they were mad. They were mad about something stupid on their bill. And they just like went up, got a bunch of chicken balls, laid them on the plate, and just like put soy sauce and stuff. They just kind of like wanted to waste a bunch of food. And I was like, how do you deal with this child like tantrum?
I was going to say that's something that a 9-year-old would do when you take them out to tell them that their parents are getting divorced, and they're like, I'll show you.
I'll show you a divorce.
When I was a dishwasher one time, the bell was going. I'm sure we're all familiar with the fucking bell. And the bell
And
was
for
going
those
off.
of us who are not,
Oh, okay. So when any food is done, the chef or cook in the kitchen is ringing the bell for someone to come pick it up.
Sometimes they yell pick up. It's both equally
Hands.
terrifying. Hands!
So, anyways, I'm in the dish pit and the bell is just ding, 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 ding. So I go out to see if I can help. And then he says, yeah, can you take this soup to the table? And I spilled an entire bowl of pea soup, which arguably is the worst soup to spill.
It's so thick.
So thick.
that seems like a stain in soup.
On Danny Williams' lap.
For those of you who don't know, Danny Williams, a very prominent former premier of Newfoundland, fuck you, Rich.
And
could
apparently wore
buy our
soup.
island if he did so choose. And Bree scalded him with soup.
Pea soup.
You know
Pea
what?
soup. Stained his shirt and tie.
He was pretty classy about it, though.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's good. I just thought about it while you were doing the bell thing, but I do think that if you're in an industry long enough, a lot of the little idiosyncrasies of it just become like
It's just jargon. It's just professional jargon.
Well, it also just becomes like something that you start doing in your personal life without even thinking. Like I remember when I was off and I'd had abdominal surgery, so I was like stitches from hip to hip, and I was not really able to walk without like hurting myself. But one of my friends was over, and she thought that I was like pretty much healed up. I was not, but I was asleep, and she went, pick up, and I was like, and I immediately realized that I'd like done something horrible, but I was like, where's the pickup?
I'll be asleep on an airplane, and if someone rings for the flight attendant, it will, absolutely shake me awake.
Yeah.
Oh, if I hear like certain sounds, like when I work at the escape place, there's like little alarms to let you know which room needs a hint. And like I hear a and I was like, oh my god, zombie needs a hint. Zombies needs a hint. Like,
Do people ever cry in those? Because I really feel like I would cry. Like I went on to one time on a date, and like I'm like, if you bring me on a date, do not make me do fucking math.
Don't make me do a chore.
No, I was so frustrated by the experience that I was like, I think I may cry in front of this man.
so one of my favorite things that I have seen at an escape place, and it speaks to the skill of secrecy. There's a guy who comes into the escape rooms with a different girl every time, but he plays the same room every time.
What a dog.
And like
I respect it.
Yeah,
there
no,
was
like,
one
it was like a
time
tussle.
there was one time my coworker was like, "Oh, hey, you're back." I was like, "No."
Let the man cook.
No, he's like really specific. He doesn't want anyone know he's already been here before.
Oh my
So when we're like, "Hey, has anyone here not played a game?" He's like, "I haven't." And I was like, "I got you."
Well, that's another thing that I think would argue like to be like an unskilled labor is that you get pretty good at weird social sciences and like
It's emotional intelligence.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
but,
the number one skill you can pick up from a low wage job is emotional intelligence, because you have to navigate the emotions of every stranger that walks through your doors or up to your counter, and you have to like figure out exactly what they need, how to talk to them, how they wanted to be treated. Like you have to do all that processing in a split second while this person is like either screaming at you, loving you, whatever. Like sometimes, like as a cell phone salesman, I had to be an expert in fraud. It's like, oh well, the ID, the hologram on the ID doesn't quite match up, and I don't think I can sell you a phone. And like it's insane what they expect you to do as for minimum wage.
And yeah, I think that it's actually like these are skills that I've definitely taken with me where I'm like, a little bit better at, I guess, like dealing with someone who's going through some shit. Like, I don't know. I think it makes you very good when you run into like the drunk person in the bathroom at a bar where they're like clearly going through something and you're like, oh, you just need bread.
Oh, just being a woman trains you for that. My God. Yeah, it's anticipating people's needs. Like,
Yeah.
I had a group of lawyers in recently, and there was like, it was very much separating between the partners, the people that were supposed to like be impressing these, these younger kids. But everyone, their first time in Newfoundland, when they come, they get too carried away on George Street, and then they have to go to these like 9 a.m. meetings, and it's always hilarious to watch from afar. And so I did up these coffee cups filled with Gatorade and put like little Advils on top of it and was giving it to the kids.
Oh.
Whatever. And I'm like, there you go,
You're fixed, my love.
You're fixed. The ID thing just reminded me of something that anytime I get an opportunity, I want to tell everyone I know, and she might kill me for this. But I know this woman, very well off, important woman in St. John's. And she had lost her ID while she was traveling. And I'll never forget, like, I think about the worker that was at the airport that day so much. Can you imagine being somewhere and someone goes, "Can you just Google me?" I won't say her name out of respect for her, but it's one of the best things I've ever heard. Like, how much confidence can you approach something? Can you just Google
Honestly,
me?
I think that if somebody did that, I would, because like genuinely, when I worked at the weed store, we had to ID people, and then somebody got slammed for like selling to an underage. So now like everybody, so even if somebody comes in and they look 109, you got to be like, ID, please.
And they're like, "Thank you."
And they're like, oh my God, they like fluffed their like weird
I
little...
fluff my beard every time I'm asked for ID. It's like, oh, you want to buy some weed? Oh,
Every time I'm ID'd, I'm actually just infuriated. I'm like, how ugly are the teenagers that you know? Because I know what I
what
look
rough
like.
shape are children looking these
I look
days that
like
I'm getting IDs?
That's what I mean. I look like a 15-year-old who's been smoking for 9 years. Like, it's not... But I remember, like, there would be people that would come in and they'd be like, I don't have my ID. Can you just look at my Instagram? And I'd be like,
No.
no. Like, just the fact, but like a lot of people were so baffled that was not an acceptable government issued ID.
People try to give me their Costco card for their. I was like, okay, do you? I need a government ID with a picture and a birthday on it. I was like, well, I got my Costco card. That's got my picture on it. I was like, I don't care. Is Costco the government? Why? I'm 20. Why do I know this and you don't?
Honestly, can you just imagine being the manager that got the phone call from that desk agent that day? Though it's like, can we Google her?
That's what I picture. I picture somebody like just like outlandishly famous being like, "Can you just look me up?"
Yeah.
Yeah, Rihanna comes up to the airport, forgets her ID. It's like, I don't think I can let you on. Wait, what? Do I
Are
need
you
to
serious?
How many tracks do I gotta drop for you to believe me?
But it's not Rihanna traveling. It's Rihanna doing like a full like fashion runway thing. And
Yeah,
being
full
like,
concert. Full
yeah, no,
concert.
full Rihanna. But yeah, no, I think that you've touched on it about like being really adaptable to crisis mode is another thing where like, yeah, like that person that had to be like genuinely, can I Google them? Like you have to get really fast at problem solving, I think, if you're working with people at their worst and their weirdest and their most emotionally volatile.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest one though, that it goes too far in one direction sometimes. Like sometimes I need to panic and I don't. Like I don't know if you guys remember, we were doing a show back when I used to have like the fancy show downtown.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you remember, but I was trying to show everybody upstairs, and my full hand, I had my hand on the elevator, and the elevator door went into the elevator along with my hand.
I do remember that because it was horrifying.
And I just stood there and was like, can somebody call? I need help. I
call someone.
Please, please, I need some help. And I'm like, at that point, like, please scream, like, cause a panic. And so I think you can also go too far in one direction where you just, sometimes you need to cause a fuss.
I've done the same thing, and similarly, like, I've worked with people. Like, I do remember that I worked at a restaurant where I learned that the rags from the kitchen needed to be very specifically dried because if they were just left in the dryer too long, they would actually catch fire. Or when you dumped them out when they were still warm, you had to move them because of the oil in the rags, and it would go kablooey. And I didn't think that was real, and then it's happened at 2 different places that I've worked. But like the person who saw it one day was a new kid that we hired, and they were just bringing back the last of their dishes from their table, and they just came out of the kitchen really like calmly, but they were like, fire, everyone. And we were like, what? And they were like, there's a fire. We were like, yelled at, like the restaurant is closed. It is literally just us idiots drinking. You need to get a little, like, you are allowed to be upset now. We are off the clock. Please react like normal.
Also talking about patience, have you ever been at a table, Mike, where you're holding just one too many dishes and it's so heavy and someone is talking to you for just too long? Like someone
my God.
pops to talk to you and like it's just like, how can you not pick up on the social cues? You're like shuffling.
Or also like
it.
it's hot, so you're just like,
yes.
Yeah.
There's actual steam.
Well, I worked at
out.
a Chinese buffet, so like sometimes I would have maybe 18 plates in my arms. And they're like, oh my God, the color of your hair. Oh my God. You're not Chinese, are you? The ones that owns it are, but you're not. You got some nice hair. I'm like, do you want a Pepsi or not? I'm weaker than I look.
It's just, I don't understand why people can't look at that situation and realize they're being so inconvenient.
I'm saying this as like somebody that's extremely socially inept, but simultaneously I think that mine goes the other way where I'm too aware that I am a burden when I am in public. So like I've gone to a restaurant and been like, can I get a Pepsi? And they're like, oh, we have Coke. Is that okay? I'm like, I'm so sorry I asked. I didn't mean to put you in this position.
I think that's the biggest skill in working customer service, learning how to interact with customer service.
Oh, definitely.
Like the people who like will put the cart back versus not put the cart back, like the ones who will have worked the cart job.
You can tell.
Like the people who like take things off the shelves and were like, fuck it, I'm just gonna throw it into the aisle. Like you can tell they've never worked a customer service job.
You know what? You must be correct because there's things I care about and there's things I don't. And the ones I care about are the ones I've worked. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm not refolding a shirt.
No.
I'm not doing it.
I'll try.
I'm not trying. I'm not doing those things. But I've never worked a retail job in clothing.
Yeah.
But if I'm in anything food related, I'm stacking my plates. I'm doing everything I can do in that environment. My partner always tells me that he hates going, like, when we're somewhere and it's like getting kind of late and I'm drunk, he really hates it because I start getting apparently like drunk paranoid that we're inconveniencing the staff.
No,
right?
that's me. Yeah,
That's
I get
literally-
that.
And I'm like, no,
I get
most
that.
people have left now. We have to leave.
I've
No, it's
literally like
there's only
Googled
3
it,
people left.
and
We've
it's
got
just
to
like
go.
the restaurant closes in 3 hours, but we have to leave now.
Yeah, if a food place is closing within the hour, I won't go. Because I know, like, the chances are, like, if it's been slow, they've already cleaned, and I'm not making them re-clean.
No, but then I go into a clothing store and I'm not thinking about that at all. So it definitely is about what you've actually experienced.
Definitely.
People should just have to experience some form of it in
I've
life.
I've
To be
met
able to go to a
people-
restaurant, you should have had to experience
in, like,
something.
the country of Turkey, military service is mandatory. Like, you have to serve so long in the military. I think in North America, as soon as you graduate high school, you have to have at least 2 years of customer service.
Absolutely. How many people do you know that never worked a day in customer service, and they're the worst people to go eat with?
Have you ever lied on a resume to get a job?
Oh yeah.
The only one that really bit me hard was changing a keg. I had said that I had changed a keg before because I was like, how hard can it be?
That's what I did. One of my first jobs. I was like, I'm sure I'll figure it out when I get there. I did
How hard
not.
can it be?
You fool!
It can be so
It's really hard.
It's first of all, okay, another talk about skills. So the keg thing. Kegs are like 50 to 75 pounds. And our keg room used to be 2 floors down, and I would have to carry them two
the 2
flights up
floors.
because there's no elevator.
Very narrow stairs at that place, too.
Very narrow stairs. And so I had to just like get really strong. Like that does not come easy.
No.
When I first started, you're like toddling with it. And then by the end, I was like putting it on one shoulder and walking.
Yeah, just walking around like somebody with like a new lamb on their shoulder in the Viking.
But yeah,
time.
changing the keg, I lied about that. And I have never, like, the unbridled confidence I had that I could just do that. And then in the active service of doing it, just like spraying myself like Coyote Ugly.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
That is a skill, though, spraying
It is.
yourself like Coyote
That's
Ugly.
a different skill, and people pay
and
different
worth a
wages
lot
for
more
that.
money.
That is more of like a put food on the table job.
Just like the physical, what it takes for you to physically work some of these jobs on your body. Like I
Just working at McDonald's, standing
I
still
was
for
gonna say,
8
you have
hours
kids
is
standing still for
horrible on your body.
well,
and
like,
people are
yeah.
fighting for like getting those mats to stand on.
Which is, and I think that that's another thing to be argued is that, like, why do employers want us to be uncomfortable? And I think it boils down to, like, them convincing themselves on some weird corporate level that discomfort will equal more productivity. And because I think I read something like that where, like, a lot of people didn't want to get, like, chairs for people when they weren't working, or they didn't want to get those comfortable mats because then they'll just be leaning around all day. And it's
Well,
like,
we've talked about it on the show before.
yeah.
Where, like, the image of someone sitting appears to be lazy, so it's like, okay, well, you just have to stand now for 8 hours. Like in the UK, their grocery stores, the cashiers sit,
Yeah, it's brilliant.
and it makes sense.
Well, like, you've worked in restaurants, so you've heard the phrase, if you got time to lean, you got,
You got time to clean.
And it actually, like, that and the phrase, we need birthday singers, fills me with such
I've
immense
never worked a
rage.
birthday singer job.
I've worked 2 places where they did it, and now when I do an interview, I say, do you sing on birthdays or do you pool tips? Like, those are my 2 things that I want to know, because I would like to know what I'm getting into. And if they're like yes to one of those, and then, like, the tips one is kind of inconsequential if they explain it, but if they're like, yeah, we sing, I'd be like, thank you for your time.
One of the skills I learned most recently that I've actually been so excited about, it's been like really rewarding to learn, is Expo. Have either of you ever worked Expo?
Expo, no.
Expo, so like, oftentimes, okay, we have probably, 100 to 200 people sitting down. Everybody has a different meal. So each meal that's come up needs to go to a specific seat at a specific table. So you have like 7 servers lined up, ready to take the food, and you have to, like, table 1, seat 1, table, and make sure everything goes to the right place. For some reason, there's like a power. Like, I'm just so enjoying learning it because it just feels so powerful.
No, it's like Tetris. It's like being like just on your game, man.
And I remember recently one of the kids comes back and he's like explaining to me something that happened, something's mixed up, and I remember just being like, don't tell me what happened, tell me what you need, like we'll fix it. And I don't know, there's like a beauty, a dance to that, and I think like I've been so enjoying learning that skill, because and when I first started I was a little bit timid about it, and I think like chef culture just kind of like, when you're in it so long, it just kind of gets in you, and I'm like, I'm not being aggressive, but I'm learning to do something with like authority, and it just, I don't know, it feels really cool. I'm like excited about learning this thing.
That's kind of like a badass skill.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, I wanted to say while you're talking earlier, so I am medicated for ADHD.
Yes.
And I had to figure that out while I was actively in work and service, right? So I still have to go to my job every day. I'm just taking a little bit of meth.
As opposed to what they normally do in restaurants.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, Coke.
Yeah.
The diet
So
meth.
I get prescribed first Concerta. And I'm switched to Vyvanse, and I feel very good and comfortable in my prescription. But when I first started on Concerta, I realized, I was like, it's making me a superhero at my job.
Oh my God.
Like,
yes.
I understand why everyone in kitchens gets addicted to cocaine, because it truly, it's like I was like running laps. I felt amazing, and I had to like do these progress reports on how the medication was treating me, and I was like, I feel invincible, and I'm so good at everything, but I don't drive home anymore. You know?
Yeah, it's like you pick up a tray of drinks and it's like a Mario star, like
See, I found the same thing when I had ADHD. Well, I do have ADHD. It's not like I'm saying it past tense, but like when I was working in restaurants, I found that I was really, really good at doing like 500 things, and then like the 501 thing that you throw at me, I'm like, it's all over.
I think it's a really good industry for people with ADHD. You have to have so many balls up in the air at once. Multitasking, another skill.
Time management. You have to be like just
memorization.
I was gonna say memorization is very comforting. I could still tell you all the POU codes for like my old restaurant that has been closed for like 5 years.
Yeah, I do think like those are skills that people overlook, but then that's something you can transfer into almost anything. Even just like, you know, if you were to end up in like a important job where you had to connect with people, being able to meet someone for the first time, memorize a bunch of details about them, as we do when anyone sits at our bar. Oh, I know he drinks this. I know he drinks that.
Oh my God, yes.
You know, just by the face. That is like a skill that people have to learn in higher end jobs to be able to like connect and build a clientele.
Yeah, well, in the corporate world, they call that building and maintaining client relationships.
Yeah.
In customer service, we just call it customer service. Like the one of the biggest skills is the customer service part, because every business needs money. Every business needs some sort of client. And mostly you're going to have people doing business with each other. And you want someone who's personable, someone who can remember those details. Also remember all the what's your specials on the menu today? Oh, well, today we got 45,000 barrels of oil. Like, people who can communicate clearly, they can wow the customer, kind of deal with their charm. Like, these are not skills that exist with a lot of people in these positions. They've kind of done the job by the very fact that they've been there so long. But like, if you put someone in customer service in that same, someone hucking cell phones and someone doing, like big mass scale purchases, the only difference is the number of units. You're still trying to sell them on the item, the brand, the trust of the business. And people in sales, people in customer service, they already know how to do this. And so it blows me away when people are like looked down on customer service positions, saying they're not worth money. They're only made for kids. You can never do anything else with customer service experience. It's like that experience alone is so valuable in the consumer world that it makes no sense to like just treat these people like garbage.
My mom is a lifer server. She's been a server her whole life. And
Queen.
She is a queen.
She is a queen.
And you know how I know is because when you go to that restaurant and she is working, she works both sides of this restaurant, right? So it's just her on the floor. And when she is not working, there are 4 people there.
Yeah.
Like the value of someone who has seen everything there is to see in that kind of industry and can wear all of the hats and truly can reduce anyone's labor by, 75%.
times.
Yeah.
4 times.
Yeah.
the output from that woman.
I know. And I just feel like every now and then she talks to me about it in a way that like, oh, she doesn't want to go and meet people her age. She feels like ashamed of that job. And it's because of the societal pressure
Oh
that
my
people
God,
put
yes.
on everyone that services just for, it's a stepping stone. It's for kids. And I'm like,
It's a
she
signal
makes
that you
more
fucked
money.
up if you've done it. If you do it late in life, it's a symbol that you fucked up.
Yeah, she makes more money than people with degrees. Like she takes home, because she is so charming, so good at that job. She takes home, so much money in tips, so much money just being a profitable part of that business. And I guarantee, like, she makes more money than people with
Honestly,
much
yes.
schooling.
No, we were talking about that once after close at a restaurant, because I think I had the least amount of education and I had like a diploma, but like I was working with like a bunch of different people that had like multiple degrees and diplomas, and they went back to serving because it was just more money and it was less stress.
Most people I work with in the service industry have degrees. I do not. But I'm always blown away. I'm like, okay, I chose to be in the service industry from a young age. We're both still in the same place. Like,
That's
even
exactly
though a lot of them have degrees. And I do think it's just because but it's not because it's undeserved. Like tipping culture, learning tipping culture in other places. Like when I took jobs in other places, it's like you get paid like $3 an hour because you're dependent. Companies depend on you getting tips. That I don't understand. Like I think tipping culture is super important. But it is subsidized because you are good at your job.
No, I think it's definitely one of those jobs that like, people who shit on it, I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Well, what's the difference between like the skill that a server would have versus the skill that like, HR would have?
Mm-hmm.
Like a restaurant server and someone who works in HR, they're overlapping skills. One knows the policy of the business. That's the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you put a server, like a really competent server in an HR role, they'll get bored probably because it's too easy.
if you put a really competent server in the apocalypse, they'll just figure it out if you tell them that they have like a 2-topper and an 8-top coming in the next hour.
Yeah, we got a reservation of 20 for the end of the world.
I kid you not, I think one of the first jobs that I worked, or like first shifts that I worked at a restaurant, where they let me loose on my own, they told me that I had an 8-top coming in, but it might be a 12-top or maybe a 14-top because they weren't sure because they were coming from a funeral.
Aw.
And like they kept coming in peels, like they came in twos. So like over the course of like that evening, my 8-top had turned into like a 22-top, and it was all people being like, "This is what Mom would have wanted," and I was like, "This is a test."
I did a lunch shift where the other person just didn't show up, and we literally every table was full, and we had a waiting list. And there's probably about 40 tables in the restaurant, varying from anywhere from 2 to 8 people. And I was by myself, and I got everyone their drinks. I got everyone their bills on time. Everyone had their food. Like the almost like euphoric level of problem solving where you just like go into a trance and you wake up like 3 hours later and everything has been done, but you don't know how.
Well, it's like I always feel like there's that thing that's floating around. It's like the John Hamm video where he's like raving.
Yes.
And like I feel like that at the end of every shift when you're like, and I remembered ranch for table 17. I'm so good.
I don't understand the conspiracy that happens though when I just end up staying at work. Does this happen? It's like you get off your shift and you sit and you have a beer.
But your beer
And then
turns into
hours
like
pass,
I leave
and I'm
at
like,
like
why am I
5:30 in the morning.
here for some reason? I like did the open shift and I'm closing because I'm sat at this bar. And I think a lot of it is I have met some of the best people I've ever met in my life in the trenches, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And you just end up with this like trauma bonded connection with them that's like nothing else. No one else wants to hear you talk about your job in that regard.
Oh God, no.
And then so you end up just sitting there and just letting it rip all fucking night. And I just feel like there's a special kind of relationship that happens with service specific coworkers.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Like,
know?
I don't think that I've hung out with like my coworkers when I worked in like centers or when I worked like medical, but like, because like if you ask
No,
them
you
if
don't
they
want
w-
them to know who you are.
No, I need to hide those parts of me. But like when you're sitting after work with your friends that you've just been screamed at with for like 10 straight hours, and you're smoking and you have a beer in your hand and you're like, table 14 found me neither funny nor useful. And they're like, yes.
Speaking of funny nor useful, this trauma bond does have to come to an end. Thank you so much to Bree Parsons for joining us today in the studio. Bree, where can people find you? What are you working on? What's big?
Well, I just made my very first comedy special.
Hey!
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called Delinquent, and it's going to be available on YouTube as of February 13th of this year. And then a couple weeks after that, it'll be, on Spotify and Apple Music and all of those things. But the main, just going and watching it and, getting as many people to see it as I can. I feel like this one is just the thing that I took everything that I've, been working on in open mics for the last 10 years and tied it all into a Frankenstein of this project. I feel really proud of it. I'm excited. So go watch it if you want to.
Yeah.
Check out Bree Parsons' Delinquent on YouTube. By the time this comes out, for sure it'll be on YouTube.
Yes.
My name's Mike Hammond.
My name's Sarah Walsh.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Well, that was a delightful episode, wasn't it?
What a kettle of fish.
Make sure to join us next time for another episode of Retails. I've been Mike Hammond.
I've been Sarah Walsh.
Good night, everybody. Tell us your tale. Send your own retail to retails.contact@gmail.com. Follow @RetailsPod on social media for episode updates and more. And make sure to fill out your customer feedback card in the comment section. Retails is funded in part by Arts & L and is a production by Right Good Studios.